Yep, I can hear you. I can hear Hector, and I can't hear anybody else. So, okay. Um, well, it's 7 o'clock, so let's get the ball rolling. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. I've muted everyone on the call right now just to save us on background noise. And I just wanted to say thanks again for joining us tonight. I know it's a busy time of year, but the soccer game's over, so you have no excuse. You can't watch soccer now. Canada lost, unfortunately. But tonight we're going to talk about our uncover the wonders of the Azores tour, and I'm Rob Blows, by the way. So for anybody that doesn't know who I am, I'm in Stratford. And when Michelle is on the call here, she's going to be hosting the tour, and we have Hector from Colette, who is going to give us the rundown. So I'll let Michelle take over the conversation right now. And just for your information, we're recording the session. We will post it on our YouTube channel in a couple of days, so you can rewatch this. But if you have any questions, there's a chat feature, or you can send us an email after the call, and we'll get back to you tomorrow. Thank you. Michelle, over to you.
All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to our journey through the Azores presentation. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michelle Toth, and I've been working as a travel advisor for over 30 years, and many of those years have been spent with Blows and Stewart Travel. I currently work remotely in the London area. This will be my first time traveling with Colette and escorting a BST vacations group. Personally, I have been to Portugal twice in the last 5 years, once on a small group tour of mainland Portugal from north to south. That would be from Porto to Lisbon, as well on a stopover returning from a trip to Spain. I have been to Lisbon technically 4 times in those visits, as well as the Algarve twice. There are many things I do love about Portugal, including the beautiful coastal scenery, the colorful tiles and ceramics, the pastel de nata pastries, their sangria, the Moorish influence, and medieval villages, to name quite a few. So each time I do leave Portugal, I know I will return, and the Azores have been put on my bucket list. I suspect many of you feel the same way. So I do also love to get out in nature and walk when traveling, see the different flora and fauna, landscapes, and to take photos to document any trip. So I'm very excited to learn more about traveling with Colette in a small group and traveling to this very unique destination, the Azores. So without further ado, Hector, please take it away.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you. Rob, before I start, I thought it was still people waiting in the lobby, but I think maybe you admitted them already. Okay, so I think we're good, right? Because I saw 11 people, but I think it's all good now. Anyway, so thank you so much, Rob, Michelle. I'm very excited about this tour. And Rob, you forgot to mention that you had a pleasure to travel with us to Morocco just recently, right?
Yes, I did. It was we did Morocco, and it was a terrific experience. Really, really good. Can't say enough about it.
Yeah, very good. Yes, and you were escorted. And it was a small group exploration as well, Rob, right? It was the same capacity as the Azores tour, and I'm going to explain what's the capacity and how much space we're holding and all those good things. So I know Rob has muted everybody, so just for the sake of streamlining the whole presentation, I usually talk a lot, and Rob knows it. I can talk for hours, but that's not the point of it here right now. So I'll try to, be, obviously precise, but still, give you lots of information about this particular tour and why travel with Colette, of course. So that should be probably around, 35, 45 minutes, right? Roughly. And then maybe we open up to questions, Rob, afterwards, right? We can unmute people and then whatever they have, and just to make it easier, more streamlined, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna get this out of here and then start present. All right. Can you see a big screen, Rob?
I can see your screen.
Yep. Okay, that's good. So thank you for that. So welcome to the Azores. And like Michelle mentioned, she's traveled to Portugal a couple of times recently. And before I start, I mentioned small groups. And this is this particular itinerary. It's a small group exploration. So what it means, maximum capacity on this particular tour is 24 passengers. And we are actually holding a full bus just for Blows Travel, just like what we did for Morocco for Rob a couple of months ago. This is the same idea, that we are holding a full bus, so hopefully we can fill it with just Blows Travel guests on this tour, so we nobody else traveling with you, which is phenomenal. So let's get this going. Colette is a very old company, established in 1918. If you're good with numbers, this is over 100 years old company. It's a family-owned company. It's right now in the 4th generation, passed on from a father to son, and now father to daughter. So we have a first female president, Jacqueline. She just started being a president last year. Colette is an expert in guided travel, land packages. So we are a premium brand, and we do cover 7 continents. We are specialists for Europe, but we have fantastic tours to Africa, Asia, Australia, South America, North America, plus Antarctica if you want to go there. Personally, I'd like to step a foot on all 7 continents. That's my goal. I got 1 more left. It's Antarctica, so hopefully soon. I'd like to start with a nice travel quote that I start my presentations. I've been selling guided tours for 30 years, almost. And I like to share with fellow travelers those nice travel quotes that I picked up. And this is a really, really neat quote that I picked up some time ago. And it says, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do, right? So again, what I'm trying to refer, obviously, if you have opportunity to travel the world, right? Doesn't matter if it's Azores or Morocco or Japan or any other destination. It's, you know, it's such a beautiful world. You have about 200 different countries on 7 continents, and it's just a shame that people don't travel more, right? And I'm always, you know, referring to this quote because, you know, it doesn't have to be 20 years from now. You know, it could be, you know, maybe 2 or 3, 5 years from now. It's like, you know what, I should have done this trip to Azores, but now I can't, maybe health-wise, or maybe there's no money, something happened, right? So if you have opportunity, and Rob probably and Michelle will agree with me, you know, do it now if you have opportunity and means to do that. Okay, so it's one of my favorite quotes that I always like to share with my fellow travelers. On the next slide here, you see a little map. Could be a little bit confusing because you have a couple of boxes here and there, but obviously Azores, you know, it's not easy to capture because there's few islands of Azores, and then there's mainland Portugal, of course. But the main thing is with this one here, so we're gonna start in San Miguel. So you can see that box on the bottom right corner, San Miguel, Azores. And we're gonna fly into Ponta Delgada. That's the biggest city there. And that little black dot with number 4 on it, what it means that we're gonna be overnighting 4 nights, all right, in San Miguel. All right, so this is a beautiful itinerary because you will see that there's 2, 3, and 4 night stays. We don't offer 1 night stays, okay, on most of our tours. And this is a great example that, you know, it's very leisurely. You will see, you will have a lot of free time as well. So after 4 nights in San Miguel, we're gonna fly to Fayal, which is another island, which is on the left-hand side here, Horta Fayal. We're gonna be there for 2 nights. Then another flight to Terceira, which is another island. We're gonna be there for 3 nights. And then from Terceira, we're gonna fly to Lisbon for 2 nights. And that's that in the box on the top right corner. You see, that's the capital of Lisbon, and that's on mainland of Europe, okay? So it's a beautiful itinerary, well-paced, not too rushed. Don't worry about it. I'll explain the sightseeing programs and everything as well. So it's very well done, and we'll be flying back home from Lisbon back home. On the bottom left corner, there's a Portuguese flag, of course. I like flags, I like maps and everything. So let's do this in pictures right now. Obviously, pictures speak, you know, 1,000 words. I can talk, you know, until I'm blue in the face, but, you know, when you see those pictures, and again, you know, they don't do it justice when you're actually standing yourself there, but it's still, you know, pretty cool to see them. So, so San Miguel, we're going to be for 4 days. This is the largest volcanic island. So Azores are volcanic islands, just like Iceland is, but it's further north, right? Iceland, Azores rather, it's more tropical, more green, more lush, of course. Beautiful climate. as well. And this is the largest of those islands, San Miguel. We're going to be there for 4 days. And you're going to be staying in this beautiful hotel, Villa Gale Collection Ponta Delgada. Okay, so this is a 4-star beautiful hotel in the right city center of Ponta Delgada. We're going to be there for 4 nights. Very well appointed rooms, as you can see it there. Colette, being a premium brand, we only use 4.5-star hotels. Okay, so they are very nice hotels, well located hotels, amenities, swimming pools in most of them as well, as you can see here. So make sure you bring a swimsuit with you on this tour. So this is where you're going to be staying for 4 nights upon arrival to Ponta Delgada. When you travel with Colette, being a guided tour operator, next morning, normally we start our sightseeing tour with local guides. Everybody will be given a whisper headset and a little device that you're gonna hang on there on your neck, and there's a little earpiece that you can put in your ear, and then you'll be able to hear your tour manager or tour guide speaking, right? Just so you know, very important, those earpieces are actually, they work well if you have hearing aids as well. Okay, they are what's the word I'm looking for? Compatible, okay, with the hearing aids. So not to worry, because we have some clients maybe hard of hearing and have those hearing aids. It's like not a problem, they're compatible. So we're gonna start a nice walking tour. All those tours will be mostly walking tours, right? Well paced, not too fast. Don't worry about it. They are well paced, right? Not too fast, not too slow, and we're gonna make stops. Of course, the tour guide will explain, the history and anything of importance. So those walking tours might be about an hour and a half normally in the morning, and after that they will give you free time to explore as well. So when you travel with Colette, not only to Azores but any other destinations that we go around the world, we have this well-balanced tour pace, if you will. Okay, so it's not too fast, not too slow, just the right amount. So people don't feel exhausted, or they don't feel that it's, oh, I'm bored now, like, well, I don't know what to do now. All right, so don't worry about it. It's a well-paced between included sightseeing and a free time. So it's just a perfect mix. Okay, so this is how we're gonna start it. And some slides here, of a colonial, because Azores, it's part of Portugal, right, which is still part of European Union. But again, it's more exotic because it's on those islands in the middle of Atlantic Ocean, right? So it's, a little bit, different history there as well. But it's very picturesque, lots of obviously history. You'll see, colonial times, cathedrals, churches, of course, beautiful squares, lots of beautiful shopping. But Azores is famous for its nature. I mean, history is great, but the nature is spectacular. And this picture, I mean, it's one of those, wow moments, right? This is the Sete Cidades view, right? And it's a twin lake, you can see. It's actually a green lake, the closest one here, and the blue lake behind it, right? So obviously there's different acidity to it. That's why 2 different colors. But I mean, just look at it. This, the first lake, obviously all those lakes were part of volcanic crater back in the day, right? And there's another small lake you can see on the left-hand side as well, right? But, so we're gonna take you on this beautiful view. Don't worry, we're not doing this whole hike around the lake. Don't worry about it, right? We'll give you some time to explore, take pictures, right? But we're not doing a massive trekking or hiking on it, right? But this is, this is one of those wow moments that you'll see in Azores. Look at this. Who knew in Europe they grow pineapples? I thought it was only exotics. I thought it was only Thailand or Costa Rica, right? Some Brazil, some exotic places, but no. This is one of the places in Europe that they actually grow pineapples. So we're going to visit a nice pineapple plantation on that island. So they're going to explain, what kind of pineapples. Obviously, you get to try, those pineapples. And I always thought that pineapples, they grow on trees. It's not. It's a low bush, as you can see, like low to the ground, right? So so I was mistaken. I thought you just pick it like apples, but it's not. It's actually growing in the ground, right? Like you can see in the picture here. So that's quite interesting that they have pineapples there. When you travel with Colette, we always try to have a very nice welcome dinner and farewell dinner for our clients. And this is no exception. We're going to have a nice dinner at the local restaurants with, lots of choices of food, local wine, of course, and they grow beautiful wine as well. in the Azores. So you can have a nice, welcome dinner with our tour manager and the rest of your traveling companions. Azores is famous for basket weavers. Okay, so this is, they still do this. You still, we're gonna visit one of those like local places that they actually do that, and they're gonna explain, what kind of, like material that they use and how long they've been doing, and and you can see, different things that they actually do with those weaving baskets in there. Azores, it's famous because it's volcanic. It's obviously there's a lot of thermal pools, right, above the ground and under. So you will see, some pools will be heated under, underground volcano, right, lava. That's why they are, very comfortable temperature, 70, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So, so obviously looks muddy, but don't worry, it's very safe to swim in that one. But when you see this sign in the middle, you see that a little left or right direction, right? So which one to choose? What it means on any hour tour that you will have a choice. This is already included sightseeing program, but you'll have a choice, okay? So in this case, you will have, Terra Nostra thermal pool, or you can visit botanical garden. I usually joke around that this is a great opportunity for husband and wife maybe to separate for a couple of hours, right? So, okay, you do the pool, I do the garden, okay, and then we'll see each other in a couple of hours, right? And we can exchange the photos and experiences, right? So this is what you see. So again, this is already included. The tour guide will just ask, day before which one you would like to pick, okay? So that's how easy it is. Like I mentioned, Azores, it's very volcanic. So there's a lot of underground, heating as well, heating, pools, thermal pools as well. And they actually, this is quite interesting. They actually gonna cook a lunch in the ground for us, for our group. How cool is that? Usually they cook a nice, like local stew, a Portuguese stew for us, right? So they, put in this big, bucket, right? Put in the ground, and it's all natural, right? They put dirt on it. Don't worry, the dirt doesn't get inside the basket there, or a bucket, right? And it's all natural, heated by that underground heated lava, right? So again, no fire required, nothing, it's all organic, right? So it's phenomenal. It's quite an interesting process. So people really enjoy this whole cooked lunch in the ground for them. Azores, it's also famous for tea plantations, not only pineapples, but also tea plantation, because again, the weather is just perfect for growing tea. Obviously you would think tea maybe, in India or Sri Lanka, Kenya, few places that grow, amazing tea, but actually Azores has actually a beautiful tea as well. So we're going to visit a nice plantation. They're going to, you get to try different kinds of teas as well. If you want to purchase some, of course, that you can do so. And then, the last day, they will give you free time as well in San Miguel, right? So again, because we're going to be there for 4 days, so you can explore on your own. If you're not sure what to do, where to go, again, your tour manager will be with you from day 1 to the last day, and that person is full, of ideas, right, to give you, right? If you want to go shopping, see maybe local market, or you just want to relax, go to local cafe, not a problem. They will give you a whole bunch of different ideas. Or in that free day, occasionally, when you travel with us, we call them optional excursions. So optional excursions are not included. They are optional for extra cost, right? Because maybe not everybody wants to do maybe a while watching, right, tour. But this will be offered to you, right? If someone wants to do that, again, the tour manager will explain more the cost of it, how long it is. I think it's about 5 hours, right? The time when they get you there, the boat ride, and then coming back, right? But again, the tour manager will explain all those things. So this is a good opportunity, right? If you want to see, and this is one of the best places to see whales, right? Just around that island in Azores, right? And the lunch will be included as well because it's during lunch hour. Okay, so but again, so optional excursions, this is extra, and the tour manager will explain more at it. What's great about this tour, because it's a small group exploration, we have much better dining opportunities, if you will. So because it's a small group of maximum 24 people on this particular itinerary, we actually gonna have a home hosted dinner at the local village, like with local family. So how fantastic is that, right? So you get to, explore, immerse in the local culture. So people love that experience, right? And try the local food, what they gonna prepare for us, right? Obviously, if someone has allergies, just tell your tour manager ahead of time and they will accommodate you as well, all right? And I'm sure they're gonna have some yummy local wine to go with that, all right? Because it's really, really good. After 4 days, in Puerto Delgado, we're gonna fly to another island. Okay, we're gonna fly to Horta, which is a very picturesque little small fishing village. Nice hotel. This would be for 2 nights. Hotel du Canal, right? Again, 4-star hotel. Hopefully, if you can see that picture on the top left corner, you can see through the window one of the volcanoes there, right? How cool is that? Hopefully, everybody will be like that, but it's not guaranteed, of course. But it's a beautiful hotel, 4-star hotel, 4 nights in Horta. Everybody really enjoys this this hotel. Very good location. Walking to every all those major places, restaurants and bars as well in Horta, in the town. Next day, we're gonna visit a fascinating volcano center. So this is, a great introduction, how those volcanoes, work, how they use this all thermal energy right now, right? So it's quite fascinating introduction to, to this volcanic archipelago that is called the Azores. We do the sightseeing, of course. That will give you free time in this in Horta, which is on a Fayal Island. But look how picturesque it is, right? You can see the marina behind there as well. Beautiful boardwalk, right, along the ocean as well. Absolutely stunning, beautiful restaurants and everything. People just love this, laid back atmosphere, right? And a lot of people speak English, right? Especially like younger generation, a lot of people speak English, even though obviously Portuguese is a native language in Azores, but a lot of people speak English, so not to worry. The next day too, if you're free time, you're not sure what to do, maybe you can join another optional excursion on that island. And this one is, exploring another, this volcanic landscape, right, of Pico, which is under UNESCO heritage site. So it's protected by UNESCO. Because it's very beautiful. It's it's very important to obviously humankind. So we're gonna have a nice. This one is about a couple of hours, right? Excursion as well, and the tour manager will again explain how long it is, how much it costs, and if you want to sign up, then absolutely do so. If not, they will give you suggestions what to do, what you can do in your free time. After 2 days in Horta, we're gonna fly to another island, Terceira, and we're gonna be there for 3 nights. Okay. So this is another beautiful, beautiful colonial, right? Everything is right on the sea. All those islands are not very big, right? So but it's all very all very different. Slightly different architecture there, slightly different food, and people obviously will be the same speaking Portuguese. But we're gonna be staying in that Agra de Heroísmo, like beautiful again, colonial. Look how beautiful pastel colors there are. There will be opportunity to swim in the natural thermal pools as well. And you can actually see behind that lava rock that you can see a little tiny of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean behind it. But this pool, it's actually all heated. So it's very comfortable, about 20 degrees, right? Like 70 Fahrenheit. So very comfortable. So again, bring swimsuit because you will have some opportunities to swim in those thermal natural pools, right? That are heated by that underground lava. Another beautiful point, this one, it's more agricultural island as well, as you can see. This is Serra de Cume viewpoint. So we're gonna, amazing viewpoints on each island, right? And they're all slightly a little bit different as well. That's why we visit, so it doesn't get boring that each island is the same. This island, Terceira, is also famous for amazing caves. This one is actually Cavern of Calm, right? So we're actually gonna descend. Don't worry, like there's easier access than you don't have to use the ropes or nothing like that, right? Like back in the day, they used to do that. So it's there's a nice path actually walking down. You're gonna go with the local guide. They're gonna explain the importance of of this Cavern of Coal. So it's quite interesting to see, right? How deep it is, how old it is, and how much coal they would they would dig out on a regular basis. Free evening. Look how beautiful that picture is, right? In Angra de Heroísmo, right? So this is that main town on that island. Absolutely stunning. The boardwalks, along the marina is so beautiful. If you love seafood, doesn't get better than that, guys. All right. Of course, they have steak, they have chicken and other meats. But if you love seafood, Azores is heaven for seafood lovers. All right. So just simple as that, because hey, look around. It's all ocean around, right? So it's gonna be great fish, great seafood all around. So obviously you're gonna see the fishing boats and yachts and everything. So it's absolutely spectacular, especially in the evening. So nice lit up, very safe to walk around even at night. Not to worry about it. It's very civilized. And then, also they will give you free time to explore, right? So again, they will give you some suggestions what to do, or you can do another optional excursion in your free time. Just like on each island, we have one optional excursion, right? That you could do extra if you want. And this is actually visit the west part of Terceira. It's actually more for coffee and banana. They actually have banana plantation, believe it or not, because again, the climate is good. So not only pineapples, tea plantation, but also banana. I know you don't see bananas here. I see cows here. So like, what is the bananas? Like, don't worry, bananas are further down, right? But obviously we're gonna see some local farms as well, so you can see the local animals, right? As well. And it's actually gonna be nice because this will be also nice home-hosted lunch with a local family, right? In that local farm. So this is people really like this, immersing in local culture moment with a local family, so you can interact with local people, which is phenomenal, right? So that's home-hosted dinner, of course. So again, because it's a small group, we can do that. If it was a larger group, it would be rather hard, right, to go to somebody's home with 40 people, right? But with 24, it is very, very doable. And after Terceira, we're gonna have a quick flight. So you will see there's there's about 4 flights, right? On this itinerary, internal flights, that all those, it's included in the total package. That I'm not sure if Michelle already shared with you the pricing or not, but we can go over that later on. So after Terceira, we fly to Lisbon, and that's the capital of Lisbon. Beautiful, vibrant, historical city, right? One of the most favorite, my favorite cities in Europe, right on the ocean as well. Atlantic Ocean. We're gonna have a nice Bessa hotel. It's a 4-star hotel, very good location in central Lisbon, right? We're gonna be there for 2 nights, well-appointed rooms, as you can see on the top right corner. If you don't like, one bed, we can, split it, and we can have 2 beds for you, right? If people don't like to touch each other, or, maybe your friends traveling, not a problem there. Next day, when we have a nice sightseeing tour, we're gonna visit one of the biggest churches in Europe. This is called Jeronimo's Monastery, right? So this is under UNESCO heritage sites. A lot of sites that you'll see on Lisbon, they are under UNESCO protection, right? So they are, of huge importance, obviously, to humankind, and this is no exception. We're gonna go inside, and the cool thing about Jeronimo's Monastery is, like you will see inside. I don't have any more pictures here because of the time essence of it here, but famous explorer Vasco da Gama, maybe you've heard of the guy, right? He is buried there. His tomb is there, right, in Jeronimo's Monastery. So it's pretty cool, right? Because obviously Portugal back then was, huge power, right? Power, explorers, Vasco da Gama, Magellan, right? And there's a couple of other ones. The names are escaping me right now. But Vasco da Gama and Magellan, Frederick Magellan, they were the 2 biggest ones, right? That, they ventured to explore the new world, right? So we're gonna visit that. Portugal is famous. Lisbon is very hilly, right? But they have those famous streetcars, the yellow streetcars. So, you're gonna have lots of free time, so you can explore, like local do, right? So, very nice, especially, if you don't feel like walking maybe uphill, take a streetcar uphill and then walk downhill, right? So you still get your steps going, right? Make sure, just like any place in Europe, make sure you have good walking shoes, right? Because as you can see here, cobblestone streets will be everywhere, sometimes uneven and whatnot. So make sure good walking shoes. Ladies, leave the stilettos, high heels at home. You're not gonna need them, right? You're gonna probably break them on the streets like that, right? But yeah, you have lots of free time, and the tour manager will give you suggestions what you can do in your free time, of course, just like on the those other islands. And we're gonna have a very nice farewell dinner. We're gonna have, like mentioned, very nice welcome dinner, and we're gonna have a very nice farewell dinner at the local restaurant. So there will be choices for you, right? Of course, nice local wine included, not to worry. People love this, the whole experience, right? But you'll be dining like a local. And most of our tours, I would say, when we travel, we eat at the local restaurants because this is just, what people like to do, right? Immersing in local culture is more authentic instead of just eating at the hotel, right? So this is not no exception that we're gonna have a nice farewell dinner at the end, right? So this is another beautiful view of the Azores, right, with beautiful hydrangeas there in the foreground. So that concludes a quick part about Azores and what you're gonna see when you're gonna stay, what kind of hotels you will have. Now, why travel with Colette? Because Colette's been doing, like I mentioned at the beginning, those premium guided tours for over 100 years, right? So, again, on all the 7 continents, we are, pioneers for European travel, but we have fantastic tours worldwide, not only Europe. Perfected tour pacing. I already mentioned that as well at the beginning, that perfect balance between included tours with our guides and the free time. So it's not too busy, not too slow, right? Just the perfect balance, right? So you don't feel exhausted or you don't feel bored. You will like the pace of this tour, okay? We are responsible when we travel. Doesn't matter if it's Azores or Morocco or Japan or, Australia, we are very responsible. We're very mindful of local cultures, okay? We try not to, disturb too much, like when we go visit, local families and local farms and whatnot, right? We're very mindful of that. So we try to do this, but at the same time, we want to help those, local mom and pop shops, right? Those local restaurants and those farmers and those wineries, right? That maybe are a little bit more of the beaten path because, they still would like to have, some business too. And we'd like, to do that, right? And Colette is big on immersing in local culture. I already mentioned this a couple of times when we have, home hosted meals, right? We visit local families, right? They cook us local meals. And that at the same time you interact, right? With those local families, which is phenomenal. People really enjoy face to face, talking to locals. To summarize Colette packages, Colette guided touring is that all those logistics are looked after, right? So the flight is booked for you, the transfer. So when you arrive, right, at the airport, someone will hold the Colette sign, right? Once you get your luggage, clear the customs, just look for a person with a Colette sign. They'll, you identify yourself, and they will take you straight to our hotel, right? Same at the end in Lisbon, will take you from hotel to the airport the following morning, right? So don't worry about it. So those transfers will be already included. Sightseeing, transportation, hotels, like I showed you a couple of hotels, very nice hotels. Most of them are 4-star hotels. Sightseeing with local headsets, right? With the Whisper headsets, meals and local guides will be included, right? So again, to summarize it again, Colette Travel is a worry-free, hassle-free touring, okay? Because all those logistics are looked after. So people really enjoy it. So you just have to sit back, let somebody else that do the driving, right? And then they will explain, you will learn so much, from your tour guides while you're on the tour, but at the same time, you will have lots of free time to explore on your own, right? So you can go and, venture off the beaten path if you wish. I'm not sure if there's any solo travelers in this group right now, but Colette loves solo traveling, and solo travelers love Colette. Why is that? Well, let me explain. Number one, you're just relaxed because all those details are covered. Like I mentioned, all those logistics, right? That I on the previous slide, right? So you don't have to worry about anything, right? We'll take you there. You know where you're sleeping. You know what you're doing. You know how much free time you have. You have that expert tour managers by your side. And what's great is that tour manager will be with you from day one till the last day of the tour. So that person is in charge of hotels, of sightseeing, visiting local families. That person will be on the same flights as you are. Those internal flights, right, between the islands. That person will be on the same flight as you. So that tour manager will help you assist with the check-in, luggage as well, right, if need be. Also, that person stays in the same hotel. And this is very important, that our tour managers stay with the group. Okay, what it means that, let's say if something happens in the middle of the night and you need, emergency, there's, you need assistance, you just quickly call reception, like, I need to speak to my tour manager. I think he or she's in room 201. I need, right? And and that's how you get assistance. So people like that because it's a peace of mind that the tour manager stays with you, all right, until the last day. So this is phenomenal. Solo travelers always like traveling with us because they feel safe, because safety in numbers, right? So you're gonna have a group of 24 on this particular tour, right? And then who knows, maybe you can make new friends as well, right? Maybe couples, maybe with some single people. The best place to find friends, where is that, Rob? Well, look at the picture on the bottom right corner. At the bar, of course, right? Go to local bar and you might find some nice places, especially after a couple of pints or maybe a couple of glasses of wine. Nothing wrong with that, right? And we have really good solo prices. And again, Rob did Morocco. I don't know if you had any solo single people there, Rob, or not, but Colette offers phenomenal solo prices. Our solo price, single supplement that we call it, it's only about 25 to 30% more than a double price, which is unheard of. And if you ever, travel on a cruise, ocean or river cruise, as a solo, those are pretty expensive, right? Single supplements. A lot of times it's double the price when you go on a cruise. Not on a Colette tour. On a Colette tour, solo prices are phenomenal on 25, 30% roughly, right? Of a double price more. So it is incredible. The only thing is about single rooms, they are limited space. So on any given tour, you may be looking only at 4 or 5 maybe single rooms, because most the rooms are double rooms, just like on a cruise, right? You're on a cruise, most cabins are for 2 people, double, right? Same with the hotels, they are built for 2 people. So what I suggest, if there's any solo travelers here, and if you're interested in this tour, don't wait. Pick up the phone, call Michelle today, tomorrow, right? Reserve your room, right? Because as you can see here, limited single rooms, FCFS, first come, first serve. That's what it means. Okay. So once the 4 or 5 rooms are gone, this is it. There's no more single rooms available. Okay. So that's the only thing that if you're interested, don't wait. When you travel, Colette, with for the first time, you will be automatically enrolled into our Passport Club. Passport Club is our loyalty program. So what it means, next time you travel with Colette, maybe next year or 2 years later, you will get 5% loyalty credit, right, for your second tour. If you travel maybe within 3 years, you will get 3% discount. Okay. Level 2 is if you completed 3 tours with us in the future, hopefully, then you get additional benefit of $100 towards extensions, right? Because some tours, this particular one doesn't have any extensions, but some tours we do offer extensions, and you could use it towards that. Okay, so the more you travel, the better the discount it is. All right. Moving along, about 30 days before departure, we have this amazing Colette Compass app. So if you have a smartphone, I think most people have a smartphone these days. If it's Apple or Android, right? You can scan it now, but you don't have to worry about it. Michelle and Rob will help you on that one. So you just download this free app, and what it does, about 30 days before departure, Michelle will give you a booking number for this tour. Okay, so you put that booking number in the right slot, click submit, and it will populate this itinerary, day-by-day itinerary, right? All the flight details as well, the transfers, hotels as well, right, will be all listed. Even you will populate maps of each place that you go to. This is phenomenal, right? Because let's say then you're lost in Lisbon. It's like, oh, I don't know what's the hotel. It's like, just open the app and it will show you where the hotel is and how to get there. How cool is that? The best part about this app is, look at this, the last point on it, underlined. No Wi-Fi and no data required on this app. So this is phenomenal idea. So it works offline, right? So you don't have to be connected to internet to access this app. So people love this, right? Absolutely, because it's like your little mini guidebook on your phone, right? Now people ask me, okay, Hector, so what if I don't have a smartphone or I don't travel with a phone, I leave it at home? Like, that's okay. You know why? we still have printed documents, right? And Rob and Michelle can tell you how many tour companies these days are printing documents. Not too many. Colette still prints documents. You will get this about 30 days before departure. So we have a nice booklet for you. Each couple will get a booklet or a solo traveler, right? With all helpful information about the destination, what to pack, what to bring, the currency, few words in Portuguese, right? Tipping, guidance as well. You will get also your name tag, your luggage tag, and it all comes in this beautiful little wallet, right? Zip up wallet. So it all comes in there. So it's very nicely done. You will get this about 30 days. People still like to get something tangible in their hands when they travel. All right. So Colette is one of the few tour companies that still prints documents, which is phenomenal. Almost done here. Just a couple more slides. This slide is always helpful for travelers. So I always like to share this, a few helpful tips and hints that you might appreciate. Of course, when you travel outside Canada, you need a valid passport. We always recommend passport to be valid for 6 months after your trip ends. Why is that? Well, in case something happens, right, and you have to be behind, you don't want to panic that your passport expired next week, right? That's not good. Right? So we always recommend, and Michelle and Rob probably will acknowledge as well, that we always recommend 6 months after. No visa for Canadians, right? Because Azores is part of Portugal. Portugal is part of European Union. So as of now, there is no visa required. I know there have been talks the last couple of years after COVID, especially about a special permit. It's called ETIAS, ETIAS. ETIAS, right? That the European Union might implement. Again, they've been talking for 2 years, so I'm not sure if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. But as of today, there's no visa required. If there will be any changes, I'm sure Michelle will be contacting you. Okay. Voltage, it's a European plug, right? Type C. You can see the bottom right corner, right? So it's a two right prongs. In here we have two flat ones. In Europe is two, right? So make sure you have the right adapter. You can just buy it on Amazon, right? Not very expensive, right? So buy a couple of those little adapters, and it's 220 volts, right? In Europe. Money, it's because it's part of the European Union, so it's euros, of course, and you can see the picture here of euros, right? So you can take some money beforehand, but I always like to bring debit card with me, all right? Bring debit card, because then, if you, let's say, run out, in some extra, local currency, I have my debit card always with me, and I just go to local bank machine, ATMs, they are everywhere on each island, right? And you just withdraw in a local currency, which is euros in this case, okay? And a credit card, of course, as well, right? For bigger purchases, or maybe for dinners that are not covered, right? So it's always credit card. It's always good to have it. No vaccinations required, but I always recommend Twinrix. Twinrix is a combination between hepatitis A and B combined. So basically that helps, if you travel to foreign countries, like, again, Portugal is very safe, including Azores. It's very civilized, so I wouldn't worry about it. But, this still helps, if you drink different water, or, eat different food that is cooked in different oil. And sometimes people get upset stomach, right? So Twinrix, hepatitis A, it helps with that. Hepatitis B helps, like if you get a cat, let's say, and it helps with infections and like that, Check with your family doctor, right? I had this done many years ago. If you get 2 shots of Twinrix, you're good for life. You're set for life, so you don't have to worry about it. All right. So check with your family doctor. It's always good to have it. Tipping is not included because we cannot force you, right, to tip ahead of time until you see maybe how the tour is and how the service is and all that stuff. Just like when you go to a local restaurant, I hate when I bring 10 people with me and they automatically include 20% tipping already because it's a group over 10 people, right? It's like, well, I want to see the service first. Right. Anyway, so this is the option that we give you. So tipping is not included, but it will be in your documents, in docs. Okay. So there will be a suggested amount, how much recommended amount is maybe for a tour guide, how much is for a bus driver, and then you can budget yourself ahead of time. All right. Average temperature when we are going, look at that, very comfortable 20 degrees, right? Like this is during the day, right? 20, obviously at night, will drop, a few degrees, but it's very comfortable for touring, right? Lisbon might be a little bit warmer because it's higher up and it's, like a little bit different continental Europe, right? because Azores, you get this nice breeze from the Atlantic Ocean, so it's a little bit cooler than in Lisbon, actually. All right, but very comfortable for touring 20 degrees Celsius. That would be. What to bring, and again, you will have in documents, they will give you some suggestions what to bring, but from what you see, good comfortable walking shoes, of course, hat, sunglasses, swimsuit, just a few things that I can think of, right, for that duration of that tour. Luggage handling and size, this is very important. This picture here, so you see two suitcases here, right? One big one smaller one. Everybody's allowed to bring one big suitcase on this tour. Okay, so this is already included. Don't worry about it. Size does not matter in this case, but the weight does. So make sure that suitcase is no more than 50 pounds or 23 kilos. All right, because of porters and airlines, obviously restrictions as well. The second suitcase is little one. That little carry-on. People say, "Oh, well, Hector, I can just bring that one." It's like, well, hold your horses. Let me explain. Yes, you can bring that little carry-on, right, suitcase on the plane, not a problem. But when you think about it, the plane, that overhead compartment is pretty big, right? I don't know if you can see me or not, but it's pretty big. You can fit that suitcase probably sideways or flat, whatever, right? That little one. However, when you travel on a motor coach, right? Because when we're going to be visiting the islands, right? Like, let me try with my motor coach. That overhead compartment, it's this big. It's much smaller than one on the plane. That suitcase will not fit there, and you cannot put the suitcase on the floor on the motor coach because you're gonna be sliding everywhere. So it's not allowed. So besides, when you go on a tour like that, guided tour, that suitcase will be staying with a big suitcase at the hotel because you're not gonna bring it on a sightseeing tour with you on the cobblestone streets, right, of Lisbon or what else. So what I would recommend, bring a backpack instead. Far more practical choice. Okay. Plus, when you do the sightseeing tours, exploring, those villages or the volcanoes, whatnot, you just put it on your back, right? Put your water bottle there, maybe umbrella, whatever, camera, whatever else you want it, and you still can, operate your hands, right? Taking pictures and whatnot, right? So this is my recommendation, and this will fit in an overhead compartment on a motor coach when we do the sightseeing tours. All right. So far more practical. Leave the other little suitcase at home. They are not really good for guided touring. All right. This is just my recommendation. And hey, it doesn't have to be yellow suitcase necessarily, right? I just put it there just for fun of it, right? Obviously I have a black one. My wife has a red. My daughter has a blue one, right? And we all have, backpacks when we travel. This is the flyer that Michelle hopefully already shared with you. And once I finish, I'm gonna open up to Michelle, like maybe if she wants to go over the pricing and so on, and insurance as well. So this is for next year, right? That beautiful wonders of the Azores. So it's for May 27 to June the 8th of next year, which is a beautiful time. And hopefully you will see those hydrangeas during that time as well, okay? Because, there's a lot of beautiful flowers around Azores. Because again, it's volcanic, but it's always green. It's evergreen. Azores, it's always evergreen. They don't have snow in the winter, but we're not going in the snow. We're going in May anyway. So which is gonna be beautiful, very nice, very large, lots of flowers. So ladies, we're gonna love it, right? So good news is we're holding space. We're holding a full bus, 24 seats. But Michelle is going, I think, with the companion, so there's only 20 seats. 22 seats will be left. So that means it's only 11 couples, right? And I know we have how many people we have on this call, Rob. You told me, right? So it's they're gonna be first come first serve, like no fighting, right? If there's more, demand, we can maybe try to see if we can open maybe another departure date. Okay, I'm gonna have to check with inventory, but that's a good problem to have. Like I mentioned, limited single rooms, right? First come first serve for singles. Deposit, all we need to hold your space, it's $1,000 deposit per person, right? And again, I'm gonna let Michelle to talk about the pricing and all that at the end as well. And again, save your spot with Blows Travel today. And this is my last slide. Again, look how beautiful, right? Those two twin lakes are. And I don't know what they call them, twin lakes, because they're different colors, right? One is green, one is blue, but whatever. I guess just like twins, sometimes they're not identical either, right? So hey, there you go. But it's a beautiful, overview of that. And I started with the quote. I'm going to finish with the quote. This is my favorite quote. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. I've heard this quote probably like 30 some years ago, and I've been using it ever since on all my PowerPoint presentations that I've been doing with fellow travelers. So hopefully you like this one. Maybe you've heard this quote before, but I always liked it, right? So again, when you have opportunity, don't wait because you don't want to regret, a few years later that, you missed it. I should have gone or whatever, right? So this is that. So Rob and Michelle, if you want to open up maybe for some questions.
Okay, Michelle, do you have anything you want to add?
I am just going by myself, so we should have 23 seats.
Oh, okay, never mind. So I thought you had companion. Maybe you can find companion on it.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, yes, my contact information is in the chat. If you need me to send you the flyer, I can certainly do that. You can contact your favorite BST vacations advisor. But just so you know, the double occupancy rate is $79.95 per person, and the single occupancy rate is $97.95 per person. So I'm available tomorrow if you want to give me a call or send me an email or contact your advisor. But I do thank you, Hector, for taking the time with us this evening.
No, not a problem. So like Michelle mentioned, so if you haven't received the flyer yet from Michelle would be happy to share this flyer with you with all the details, right? And the pricing, and then and also like if they want insurance, they can contact you as well, Michelle, right? And
for sure.
So so you can explain your insurance policy and everything else, right? So I'll leave it with you there. And I see that there's about 36 people on this call. So the problem is, Rob, there's only 23 seats on that one. So
exactly.
Not everybody, unfortunately, will get on this motor coach. So again, I cannot stress enough, again, I don't want to panic anybody, but it's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
And if we have more, Rob and Michelle, right? If we have more interest, we can open maybe another departure, right? Maybe, as well. It's a good problem to have.
Exactly. I do have a couple things to add, if you guys can just put up with me for another minute or two. So as Hector mentioned, I just took a small group tour with Colette through Morocco the end of May for the last 2 weeks of May. And I will tell you, traveling with a small group on a large bus was like a treat. Everybody has their own bank of 2 seats. Lots of room to spread out on the coach. It made a big difference. It was very comfortable. Now, Morocco is a very large country, so we spent more time on the bus than you're going to on this one. But I tell you, it was very nice to get on the bus and stretch out. And, we always had water on the bus when you came back, and the bus driver, made sure everybody was looked after. And it was very good experience having that. So that's a benefit you don't really think about till you're on the tour. And all of the people on that tour commented on how it made it just that much more comfortable on when you're traveling. I did want to note, so we talked about the single supplement. So our single supplement, I just did the math, is 21%. So it's not very much considered to what you normally do on some tours. Hector, if anybody's a past traveler, they can apply that credit now on this tour, correct?
Yeah, so if they travel with Colette for the past 3 years, I believe it. That's how far back we go, Rob. Yeah. So we can apply. So when Michelle will call our group department, right, to put the deposits and names down, they should verify, Michelle, with our group department that these people traveled before with us. They will verify that.
Okay.
And if this is the case, they will apply the discount for this on this tour, Rob.
Right. And a couple of other things. Just note the activity level on this, okay? So there is going to be some walking. Obviously, you saw Lisbon's kind of hilly. Some of the mountains are kind of hilly. So just make sure you're comfortable. You're going to have to do some walking, maybe a couple of kilometers on walking tours and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Also, I wanted to mention I believe it's going to be the same case, Hector. About a week in advance, the tour manager will reach out to everybody, introduce themselves,
That's correct.
Which is a nice touch. And then you can respond back and say, hi, how are you? You know, any special needs they're going to ask you. If you have any special dietary thing, we're going to ask you that when you book. So tell us, please. If you have any like food allergies, travel with a CPAP machine, anything like that, tell us. But the tour manager will reach out about a week or 10 days before, introduce themselves, and also ask the same questions so that they're prepared and there's no surprises when you get there. And then you'll know the person's name and have a contact, which is very handy. I'm still going back and forth with my Morocco tour manager because he was super helpful on a number of items. And talking about the going to people's homes and having meals, that was the beauty of having the small group. We ended up with 21 in ours, and you can go to the smaller or the locals restaurant, not the tourist restaurants, which was really a benefit. I was really nice because when we did go to restaurants as a group, it wasn't tour groups in there. We were in local restaurants where the locals were. So it was I think it was a better experience. Not like you're going to, eat. We ate in the hotel once for a dinner, but it was a private room for dinner, and we were the only ones in the hotel, as a matter of fact. So it was like having our own restaurant. So those are the nice little touches that I found on that small group tour that really made it extra memorable for people on the tour. So those are just a few things but I highly recommend it. It was a great experience.
Very good. If I can just quickly add, Rob, you mentioned the walking, right? Obviously there will be walking because when we do those sightseeing tours, it will be walking tours, like I mentioned, maybe for an hour and a half. So, the level of activity, I mean, it's not strenuous. And again, we're not doing trekking, we're not doing hikes to those volcanoes, right? We just, take you there and then you can walk around a little bit, around to take pictures. So as long as you're comfortable, walk for a couple of hours a day, spread out. Obviously different terrains, right? Maybe some hills, maybe like little steps like in Lisbon, whatnot. But as long as you're comfortable be on your feet for a couple of hours a day, again, this is not strenuous trips, right? These are, well-paced trips. And just, even when we include those sightseeing tours, you don't have to participate in them if you don't want to.
No.
So that's the beauty of it, Rob. Like, okay, you're gonna miss out on it, but maybe like, maybe you've seen already, enough churches maybe in Lisbon or whatnot. It's like, I'm gonna skip that.
Yep.
And just let your tour manager know that, we're like, I'm gonna skip that one. What time are we meeting back? So there's like, okay, well, meet us in 2.5 hours in front of this church, right? And then you can go to local market, cafe, go for wine, whatever, right? So this is the beauty of it. You're not tied into everything, as per itinerary, right?
Right. Also wanted to mention too, the optional tours that you mentioned, Hector, can be pre-booked in Canadian dollars before you go. So if there is something you really want to do, I suggest you let Michelle or whoever your travel advisor happens to be that you want that tour. We'll prepay it here in Canadian versus if you're over there, you're going to get charged in euros probably.
Yes.
So be a little less expensive for you. And then we'll know the numbers. So because there's going to be a minimum number required on those tours to operate. Usually it's
10.
8 or 6 or 10, but it's good to know that in advance.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like Rob mentioned, we can Michelle, we can pre-book them ahead of time, right? And it's going to be in our Canadian dollars instead of whatever the exchange they give you there. Any other questions that you guys may have?
I can unmute everybody if you'd like, or you can just put something in the chat. There is a couple of items in the chat there. All meals included?
Yeah, no. So we include breakfast daily.
Yeah.
So obviously breakfast, we are at the hotel and it's a buffet breakfast on the beautiful breakfast that we have. We're going to have some lunches and some dinners, but we don't include all the dinners for a very simple reason because, guests don't want to eat, maybe a dinner every time with the same group, right? And the same was in Morocco, Rob, right? It was nice probably to venture on your own when you have a free time and just go to little restaurants, around the corner that, nobody else went, right? So this is what we offer on any Colette tours, Morocco, Azores, doesn't matter. We don't include on purpose all the dinners because we want you to experience, right, on your own as well, the local cuisine.
Yeah, and the tour manager will have a list as long as his arm on local restaurants that they recommend. So you'll have no issues finding a good restaurant to go and eat.
Yeah. Question is, what hotel in Tercera? I forgot what it was. I don't know if I had a picture on it or not. But anyways, but there's a list of hotels. I think, is the list of hotels, Michelle, on the flyer or no?
No, I'm just trying to look up what you had sent me.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be subject to change, right?
Yeah, but on the flyer that I send you, right? There is a list, right? I think on a second page somewhere, right? So you could just share this, right? Because I don't think I have this
sorry.
here.
It's yeah, I think it's different than what you perhaps put up there. The Torrell Terra Brava.
Okay.
That's what's in the
brochure. What's
brochure.
listed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Torrell Terra Brava.
Okay. Yeah. So, but anyways, but if you can share maybe with everybody too, like once we are, like what hotels will be, so people can have a look at it. But they're all very nice hotels, right? And like we always have reserve. We have the right to reserve. Like if in case there's any changes last minute. But 90%, these are the hotels that we'll be, featuring right on a tour. Mind you, it's still a long time until May 27, right? So things can still change, but normally we try to stick with the hotels that we advertise.
Another question: how long are the flights between islands?
They're not very long.
Very short.
only like an hour and a half flights, right? The one to Lisbon, I think it's a little bit longer, but between the islands, because the islands are very close to each other, so they're gonna be very quick, like 45 minutes, an hour, right? So very quick. Because again, I know on the map it doesn't show you the scale really, Rob, right? When you look at the map of Azores, right? Yeah. But if you look at the big map of Europe and you see how tiny those islands are comparing to the continental Europe, you'll see they are very close.
Yep. And Michelle, you might, I don't know the answer to this, but the airline that we're using.
Don't know yet, for sure.
Yeah, okay. We don't know yet, yes, as well. So once we start booking it, again, we always try to get the most direct flights if we can.
Yeah.
So it could be maybe TAP Airlines. With TAP Airlines, it's a Portuguese, right? Flag airline. Rob, you probably know them, right? TAP Airlines. So we might use them, right? But again, once we start, getting the names, then when you talk to the group department, they will tell you, right, what flights they'll be on. But again, we always try to get the most direct flights possible. What happens if I prepay optional tour and it gets canceled? Well, if it gets canceled, you get a full refund, right?
Yeah.
And like Rob mentioned, we need to have probably around 8 to 10 people, right? I would say, I don't know, like in Morocco, how many, what's the percentage of people that took optional excursions? I don't know how many you had there. I forgot.
I'd say about 2/3 took the optional tour,
yes.
or maybe 3/4, depending on we had 2 optional tours. So I think on each of them there was about we had 20 passengers, probably 12 or 13 took the tours.
Right. Yeah, so I would say half. Yeah. I was going to say, Rob, like probably 50%, right? If not more, they take it. So again, if I think that again that cutoff is like 40 to 50%, right? But again, they will tell you, right? At the time, if it's going, obviously they want to operate everything, but especially like the whale watching, I think they need a minimum, I think, of 10 people or something, right? To make it worthwhile. But
I only show 4 to 6 on the optionals as the minimum, so that's really not bad.
Okay, it depends. Okay. Yeah, I guess I was in Morocco. It was a little higher there, but maybe because we had to travel further, probably. Yeah.
So that's even better, right?
Yeah.
All right. What's the plan if flights between islands get canceled, delayed, or a day? Well, you know what? The good news is, that's why I always recommend, and Rob knows it, to book flights with us, through Colette, right? Because if something happens, if there's a delay, there's cancellation, there's change, and Michelle knows it too, we look after it, right? We have a team, air department team, that looks behind the scenes, and they are trying to figure it out, right? Okay, if something happens there, we're going to put you on a different flight, maybe different airline or whatever, right? So don't worry about it, because it's all booked under one umbrella, under one company, right? So you're going to be looked after no matter what happens. You're in good hands.
Still a good idea to buy insurance though, for any, there's always could be out-of-pocket expenses that you may incur depending on flight cancellations. There's any number of things can happen, and that's why you buy insurance, because you don't know what's going to happen. So when you talk to your travel advisor, we'll give you some options. If you have credit card insurance, it's probably not adequate, but we can top it up. So let us know if you have a credit card with insurance benefits. Let us know what the card is. We can probably look up what those benefits are and then advise you on what the top up would be to make sure you're fully covered.
Right. All right. Well, we just passed the hour, 8:05. But if you guys have any other questions, you can think right now. Again, Michelle is your main contact, right, Michelle?
Yes.
For this group. So just call her or send her an email, right? She'll be more than happy to help you. But the main thing is we only have 23 seats, right? And if we can fill them all, it's only gonna be Canadian hosted team. How cool is that, Michelle, right?
Excellent.
Very good. And if anybody wants a recording of this to review again, like I said, you can send us an email. We'll send you the link, or give us about 48 hours and it'll be on our YouTube channel. So you could just go into YouTube and put in BST Vacations and it'll be listed.
Very good. Okay, well, thank you everybody for participating. Thank you, Rob and Michelle, for
Thanks,
having
everyone.
me here.
Thank you.
So hopefully, this was informative for everybody. And yeah, again, happy travels.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
you.
Hector.
Have a good
Take care.
evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.